Hey guys, we're here with another Foundations video centered around the fundamentals of playing cajon. This instrument is a great option if you're playing an acoustic or even unplugged set, and you want a percussive presence that won't so easily overwhelm other instruments and is more suited to your broken down band. While obviously not as dynamic as a full drum set, a cajon can still add a lot of value when it's utilized correctly. In this video, we're going to focus on what we're trying to accomplish on cajon, and allow that to inform very practically what you can do to position yourself to accomplish that goal. First, let's begin with answering the question of what we're trying to accomplish. When you sit down at a cajon, the main thing you want to accomplish is effectively moving the song forward by impacting the feel and the dynamics of the song. You want the song to be meaningful, and you want every note you play on cajon to contribute to that. The best way you can accomplish this is to capture the identity of what drums are already doing in a song and translate it to cajon. The good news is the hard part of figuring out what to play is already done for you. The parts are already written. You already know what to play and when to play it. The bad news is you're severely limited with the sound you can actually produce from the cajon compared to a drum set. In essence, you have two main sounds in your arsenal on cajon: kick and snare. And you're tasked with playing songs with parts and grooves that are written on a full drum set. And this can obviously feel very intimidating. It's tall order. But now that you know what you're trying to accomplish, there's things that we can do to help position us to accomplish that goal and impact the song in the way that we want. So how are we going to do this? The first step is in the planning. Since you're so limited already in the sounds that you can generate, you must be strategic about each decision and budget each hit for maximum impact. If you don't do this, you likely won't mesh as well with other instruments and create the same feel as the original version. What's interesting is most people actually prepare less for a set on cajon than a set on a full drum set. I believe this is due to players not realizing the impact that cajon can make when a good plan is applied. As previously stated, the hard part of figuring out what to play is largely done for you in the original recording. I'd encourage you to chart out the songs if you're not in a regular rhythm of doing this. It'll help you visualize the song in its entirety and see how each part fits together to impact the song. The challenge for you now is to figure out what should translate to cajon and what shouldn't. Listen, if you're trying to translate everything a drummer is doing, you'll likely do way too much than you should do on cajon, and you'll muddy up the mix and overpower other instruments. You want to capture the essence of what drums are doing, not translate it exactly note for note. Two great examples of elements that should translate to cajon are dynamics and kick pattern. If you translate both of these from each song, you'll be in great shape. Both of these are integral to the identity of the song, and matching this will help the song feel the same as the original. A great example of something that doesn't need to translate exactly the same way is our moments of transition. These are mostly seen in builds and fills. To be clear, building when the song builds is important to matching dynamics, but the exact manner in which you build does not need to match the recording exactly. You might start a little softer and even take a little bit longer to get to your highest point since you have a smaller dynamic range on the cajon. With fills, you want to remember that less is more. On a full drum set, they have the ability to pepper in more fills because they have the ability to mix it up and add more variety. And on cajon, your fills will start to sound alike and have less impact if you don't allow sufficient space between them. Now that you have a plan for playing your songs, you want to make sure that you're getting the best sound out of the cajon when you arrive. As previously stated, you have two main sounds at your disposal. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you're getting the biggest bang for your buck with each hit. The first way to do this is by miking the cajon. If you're able to dedicate two mics to your cajon, your setup will probably look something like what you see right now. One mic in front capturing the snare hit, and one mic in the back in the sound hole capturing the bass hit. If you only have one mic to work with, you'll put it in the front and capture both sounds with just the one mic. Oftentimes, instruments on stage can be bumped or moved, and this can cause mics to be in an incorrect position, which will obviously negatively impact the sound being captured and transmitted by the mic. If you sit at the cajon and notice either mic is out of position, simply ask your audio engineer about the placement and allow them to either explain the change or assist you in correcting the mic position. The next way you can get the best sound is by hitting the instrument correctly. Let's start with the bass sound. You want to hit the drum with the full hand about 2/3 of the way up the cajon, and this will allow for a fuller, more controlled sound. It's going to sound something like this. The snare hit, conversely, will be hit at the top of the face of the cajon with the fingers only. You're not looking for body here. You don't want a deep sound. You want a quick, crisp hit that cuts through the mix. And it's going to sound something like this. As I said earlier, you want to make sure that each note makes the biggest impact possible, and this is a good moment to give a warning about ghost notes. Ghost notes are light hits used mostly to keep time in between harder, more pronounced hits. Ghost notes can quickly muddy up your sound if you're not careful. 2 tips are to keep them as soft as possible and to play them on the snare side rather than the bass side of the cajon. Minimizing ghost note interference will allow each hit to be clearly heard and most impactful. We're going to give you an example now of what this looks like when put all together for the chorus of Christ Be Magnified. And to hit home the most recent point about ghost notes, we'll play the first half with exaggerated ghost notes, which will create a muddy, convoluted mix. And for the second half, we'll switch to softer, more subtle ghost notes to accent the difference that this can make. We hope this video has been helpful to you, and as always, if you have any questions about playing cajon or any of our other videos, please feel free to reach out to us at worship@grace-bible.org. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.